Hi, in this video I'm going to cover some basic Python. I'm going to use C Sharp as reference because that's a known language. I'm going to see what are the features that are already available in Python and implement the same code in Python using a online playground. So let me first start with some of the features that I've already covered, like to get an idea. So C Sharp uses .cs file for coding and Python uses .py. And there are some syntax differences. Obviously, with any new language, it has its own syntactic use. So I've covered that in this video. So let me get started. So first of all, to declare a variable in Python, you use in C Sharp, you obviously use var x is equal to 10, or we specify the variable data type and then the variable. But in Python, it's very simple. You just have to say x equal to 10. And then if there is a different variable like capital X, you can specify the same way. You don't need semicolon or var or int. Then console.writeLine, you normally use print. So you can say the same thing what I have done in C Sharp. I'm going to do that. So if you use the same thing here, I'm going to print it using the normal plus based concatenation. Let's see what happens. So because it is an int, it's not allowing the concatenation. So you can use str to change the data type to string. And once you do that, it should be fine. I'll change both of the data type because both of them are string. So that solves the problem. But print also offers one more method of printing multiple variables that you can do by separating the variables by comma, and that is neater. You don't need to cast it into string. So if you remove the casting and then add just commas, let's see what happens. So I'm just removing the brackets here. So just get rid of everything and just leave it like this. So let's see what happens in this case. Only thing is I have added comma between those. So I can see the proper output. So the separator, the default separator in this case between the variables or the strings that are concatenated is space. We can also specify our own separator. Like for example, I can say pipe or exclamation to be clear. So that added some exclamation there between those different strings. So let's leave that there. And then one of the important things is in C Sharp, we normally use single quote to denote character variable. But in Python, both single quote and double quotes denote string. So this doesn't throw an error. On the other hand, in C Sharp, it would have thrown an error. Similarly, in this is a simple arithmetic operation. Like if you have 10/2, you obviously, it's a division. This is similar in C Sharp. You'll get 5.0 because it's a decimal based division. But if you add a double slash, it will give you the floor based integer division. Slash in case of double slash in case of C Sharp is comments. So yeah, that's something you can keep in mind, like floor based division is with double slashes. Then one of the most important thing is commenting lines, right? So in Python you use hash. This is commented, so that is very similar to PowerShell where you use hash for commenting, but for multiple lines you have to use 3 times double quotes. This is multi-line comment. Here you can also use the new line escape as ever. This is my line. So this is for comment, so you won't get an error because that's a comment line. At the same time, you can assign this to variable, then this becomes a multi-line comment. So var is not a keyword in case of Python, while it's a keyword in C#. So print of var. So now you can see the output of that variable properly, respecting the new line and all that stuff. Then the other one is multi variable variables assigning up in one line, assigning different values to multiple variables. So this was a surprise for me. I didn't know this in C#, but when I was going through Python documentation, I saw this. So this is something that's possible. Let's see print of k comma j comma m, but maybe we can remove m for now. See just k comma j, so you can see 20 and 40 output with a space. So that's something interesting. So multi-line we have covered already. So now the next one is string concatenation. I think I already covered it here, where I added string casting. So that's something we have done. Now let's jump to for loop. So for example, for I, this is how you write a for loop. I will go with an existing string. I don't have an existing. We can even go with, okay, without any variable you can do this. Now one colon, you need a colon here, and that's part of the syntax, and this indentation is also part of syntax. So say print of I, that's it. So that's a simple for loop. So it should output all my characters. Now one of the most important things is in case of let me assign this to a variable n equal to, okay, so now I can get the last index using this. For example, print n of -1. I will go with -1, -2, -3. I'll go with -3. Let's see what happens with that. -3, right? Yeah. So that outputs v. So n here stands for -1, -2, -3. So the reverse is also possible, like how you do 0, 1, 2. So reverse is possible with Python, which is very interesting. I tried that negative index in C# and it did not work for me. Then the other thing that you can try is I've covered for loop. Okay, one more thing is for loop has a else condition. That was interesting. It would be nice to use it somewhere, but yeah, I just saw that it's there and it's good. Probably it seemed to me like more like a finally kind of thing for loop parent. You want to clear something and things like that, you could do it here. So I say print of else. So this is not there in C#, wherein you can't add else, right? So that's pretty well known. So I'm just doing this. So I'm printing each of those characters. Let me keep it simple. I don't want this to be too big. And then else also will be invoked. So you can see that fty and else is automatically invoked after all those iteration. So that was something very interesting. Then if you want to, as usual, trim something, you can use n is equal to, so if you add this, then you can say na dot strip is the equivalent for trim. You have L strip and R strip also. And let's add len, which is for length, and that's a function. So you can say print of, so I am printing the length of the stripped character, sorry, string. So that gives me 3 in ASG, so that gives me 3. So that's interesting. So the next thing is if condition. Can do the if condition. We already covered the indexing, like -1 we covered negative. So n of 0 is the first character from the left, so that's something we don't need to be worried. So now let's move on to quickly to list, which is nice. So normally in C# we have new list and then we add the initialization, right? But here you can do this lst equal to square brackets 21, 32, now for example. Okay, now I can say it's so easy. You can get started with a list very easily, and then you can say now for L in list, right, colon, indentation is important, print of L. So that should output me 21, 32 and Navan. Yeah, that does that. So it's straightforward. So it takes each element and outputs that. And if I want to delete an element, I can use this keyword delete del lst of 1. Okay, just deletes 32 out of this. So now if I say len print of len of list, let's see what happens. So it should be 2, right? So let's see that. Yeah, that's 2. Now if you have a second list, lst2 equal to square braces, so we have dsgd something like, let's say true. Okay, so now you can directly do this. lst3 is equal to lst plus lst2, and that would give us in one list a union. So that was nice to see, to learn. So you say print of lst3, so it gives you whole thing in one list. So my previous list, which is lst and then the lst2, that's something. So now we can get, for example, lst, just to check lst of 1. So this should give me the first one, which is, I mean, the second element or the first index, now one. Then you have obviously uppercase, lowercase. Let's make this uppercase dot PPR, all uppercase. So that's done. So lower LOWER, that's done already. And then I can also do replace. You would have noticed that all these are all small case, because in C# everything starts with capital R or two Pascal case, right? So but here it's all lowercase, so I replace A with B, comma P, so that should convert that. So that does the job. Replace works fine. So you have split the same way, but again it will be small case, split split at A, and then let's get 0 index, or we can get the first index. Let's see what happens. Maybe split. Oh, I just took the first character. Yeah, but the whole idea, I think we got it right. Like we can split and get as per the index, like how we do in C#. And okay, the other important or interesting thing, for example, if you have print, okay, and then you do this, you take a string, okay, and then you put the multiply 3, this will be output 3 times. It was something interesting and seemed unique to Python because this is not possible in C sharp. And next thing, we have already covered the new line character, which is what this is about. And okay, the other one is another for loop variation for I in range of 3 colon print I. So this will start from 0 and will go till 1 and 2. Missing parameter. Oh, okay, it doesn't like if you don't specify the bracket. So just add that. So it will go and print 0, 1 and 2 and leaves out the ending number, which is 3. So it starts from 0 because range of 3. You can also do range of start point, like for example 1 comma 3, and it will go from 1 and 2 to just output 1 and 2. That's perfect. Now we have covered for loop. So that is percentage, like how you add if condition. Okay, I'll just directly go to the if condition. Like for example, age equal to 30. I'll copy this block to see how easy it is to do it in Python. Just change some parts. Just get rid of the semicolon. We know that console.writeLine is print. We'll do that. And we don't need semicolon. Just get rid of all the semicolons. Print. Yeah. So that's important. And we also, and I know that if you have this in one line, it will throw an error. So I will add a colon and this enter. Then add a colon here, and most importantly, else if is called ELIF in Python. That's something very interesting. ELIF, yeah, and let's see. I will, because this is comment, I'll make it hash. LF control C. Else stays as is. It's the same thing. Don't forget the print or console.writeLine. So that was a simple change wherein I just got rid of all the semicolons from C# to Python. So I'll just add a colon. If you want, I can show what would be the error. With this in place, let's see what happens. It says invalid syntax. Yeah. Okay, that's because of the logical operator. It doesn't understand this. It is AND that it understands. And double pipe is OR in case of Python. Let's see. We should get one more error. I'm waiting for that. Yeah, console. Okay, that's print. But I am waiting for this issue. Yeah, here it should throw an error because we don't have a colon. Print, yes. So I'll add this here, colon. Yes. So I just output the correct condition, correct value. So that's something that's good. So that's with if condition. So we have covered for each, which is like going through each of the elements in an array. Python doesn't have array, but it says list is the equivalent for array. But if you want array, you can use something called module, an external module called NumPy, and that has array support. You can obviously use insert to uh, list, like for example in the list, uh, lst dot, I don't know what's the equivalent in Python. Let me try this. Lst dot add. Hi. Uh, no attribute. Okay. Insert. I'm just trying to see what would be the right one. Clear. Or list item removal. There is sorting. Insert 0 comma high. Let me try that. Yes, so that's it. So I added now let me output list print of lst. Okay, let's see. So we should have the first index high now. Yeah, so that's what it is. So we should use index to insert a particular position in the list. It's very similar to array. So there is a while loop which also has the else condition. You can add else condition in the while loop. So if you are using the while loop, so you don't need bool, and true starts with capital T. You don't need a flower brace, you need the colon. You don't need flower brace here too. Just need a hash. Yes, a hash, and the same old stuff. Print loop is equal to false. That is a false. That's it. So this should print while loop once. So it does that. So apart from that, unpacking, yeah, we can check this. This is very interesting. Concept of unpacking is like, for example, I'll just cover the tuple. Tuple is also a type of collection. So tuple you specify in C# like this, and the most important part is unpacking, or in other words, assigning a tuple to separate variables. Like for example, you initialize, you don't need all this wherein you say new tuple and all that. You just can directly initialize a tuple like this. And then the most important part is I can say 1 comma 2 comma some variable, okay, and then you can say tup. This will automatically unpack and assign it to these variables. So for example, print of 2 should ideally give me 2. Let's see. Yeah, so yeah, that does the job. So tuple, it starts with simple bracket, like list starts with square bracket. So there are for collections we have list, tuple, then there is set, which is the equivalent for hash set, and then there is dictionary. So yeah, so you can use the set like this, but you don't need this hash set part. Again, if you put a flower brace and just add this, it will understand. Like for example, straightforward, as I already covered in the other case, other collections. So this would just have the names to, which is a variable assigned to a tuple type. So tuples are different from list. They are unordered list, if I'm right. So that's something very interesting. You can use these based on your scenario, whatever is fitting your scenario. Yeah, so I have to close this with a flower bracket. I hope other things are fine. not, I would have to delete this because, yeah. So I've assigned it and then I can access it using, um, I think some of them don't have indexing. I'm not sure if it's tuple or the uh, set. So, so those are some of the important things. The final thing that I would want to cover is module. So I already have a module here, and if you don't write any body, you can write. You need to add a pass inside the function. So now I'm going to get rid and I'm going to say return hi. So this module I'm going to use in my program. So for that I have to import the module. I have to say import my module. You can either specify an alias or you can directly use my module as, I just say alias as mod. So now I say print of mod dot function name that I have used here, my func. That's it. Your function should be invoked. So you have imported a module and you're invoking a function, and that output is here to see. If you can define a class, see if I can cover that here. But even otherwise, you can have a class like this. I mean, I'll cover the difference between how it's done in C#. So if your class is this way, you can write a class like this. The init is like the constructor where you can assign values to the local class variables, and you directly specify dot name. You don't specify the specifically the variables outside or anything. It should be able to pick up. It will pick up this. So that's another important thing. Then the lambda function is also interesting. Like it's so straightforward. You have to specify the lambda keyword, then you can do all the manipulation inside after this colon. It's all in one line. There's other thing wherein you can use asterisks. Like for example, because we used 3 variables assigned to 3 elements. If you don't know the number of variables, you just add star to one of the variable, and then this is useful. You have multiple values coming and sitting into different variables, so it will allocate a bunch of elements to one variable as an array. So that's very nice of Python. So apart from that, yeah, I think I've covered most of the thing. There is something called as nested functions where you can write one function inside another function. So which is a true functionality of Python, not there in C#. Then in case of try block, we have heard of try, catch, and finally in C#, but you can also have else there, except as the equivalent for catch. So that's one thing. I think other things we have already covered in this video, most of them. Multi-line comment. So child class, if you write a base class and then you normally use a colon to inherit from the base class, but in this case you use a bracket because the colon in case of Python is for a line ending. So that's one thing. So you have to write a class and then you have to inherit using in the brackets base class. You can write even list queries, like for example, if this is the list query that you write, same thing I have written in Python. Like it's so simple. It allocates to a list basically. So that query looks for a mark list like this, and then if it is greater than 80, it allocates to the array, separate array. So I think I covered most of the important things. I'll add this PPT PDF to my video and hope it's useful. Thank you.